Hello and welcome. Today I'm adding H.E.R.O from the Activision Collection 2 to my ever-growing list where I rank every Evercade game ever. Originally released in 1984 for the Atari 2600, H.E.R.O sees you playing Roderick H.E.R.O as he descends into collapsing volcanic mine shafts to rescue trapped miners, and he does this wearing a helicopter-style hover pack and having laser vision. Well, laser out of his helmet anyway. And despite the technology he's using for those, he also uses dynamite to blow shit up. And this is a game that I played back in the day, but not to any great extent. I think I maybe played it once or twice at most, and only have vague recollections of it. So there's not much nostalgia here, so I'm just going to dig into the
graphics.
The graphics are quite solid. Everything's clean and easy to read, and considering you have various enemies, some quite large levels, destructible elements, complex movement, well, complex for the 2600, I think the graphics are actually pretty good considering all the things it does. And sure, the backgrounds aren't exactly detailed, plus some of the levels do get quite large later on.
Sound.
On the audio front, the sound effects are nice, crisp and clear and quite satisfying, and I'd say generally of a pretty good standard for the hardware.
Gameplay.
Rodney can walk left and right, he can fall, and he can fly with his jetpack or helicopter rescue kit, whatever you want to call it. He can also shoot lasers from his helmet and drop dynamite. I mentioned all this already. Anyway, the movement is fairly straightforward and the action is flick screen, but I think for the 2600, the fact you're doing flying, dropping items, shooting and blowing stuff up, I think it's doing quite a lot for what the hardware is capable of. The loop is simple. You descend into the volcano, occasionally blowing up barriers, taking out some enemies, trying not to put out lights because if you do, then if the screen is dark and you won't see where you're going, and avoiding lava, and eventually rescuing the miner trapped at the bottom of that level. This rinses and repeats, with the levels getting longer. Not to mention more complex. Sometimes there are branching paths, sometimes with one route being impossible or just much more difficult than the other. There are 20 levels overall, but the game will loop them once you get past the 20th. It's a simple and fairly satisfying gameplay loop, and it can get quite challenging, especially as the controls can be a little bit finicky.
Overall opinion.
Now I can see why this game is well regarded for the 2600, and it's one that although I didn't play much as a kid, I do remember wanting to play it more, I just never got the chance to. But playing it today, I do find that although the key loop and main gameplay is quite fun, it's not compelling enough for me to want to keep going. I very much find myself wanting a little bit more from it, although in some kind of high score competition it could be a lot of fun, but playing it by myself to get a bit better, get a bit further in, it's not quite doing it for me.
Ranking.
Placing H.E.R.O on my overall ranking list where I rank every Evercade game ever, I've elected to put it above Space Invaders but below Twinkle Star Sprites, which puts it at 196 out of 412 or so games that I've ranked so far. I'm sure many 2600 aficionados would consider it quite low, but I do find, as I mentioned, the gameplay isn't quite fast and compelling enough to be a good score chaser, or at least not one that I'd keep pushing on my own, and it's not quite a good enough adventure for it to satisfy that itch. It falls somewhere in between, and for the time I can imagine yes it would have been really impressive, but playing it now it just feels a little bit lacking. Anyway, that's enough rambling for one video. Thank you for watching and I'll see you in the next one.